Get to Old Navy. Today only. Get 50% off all dresses and 50% off all men's and boys button-down shirts. That's right. All dresses and men's and boys button-downs are 50% off at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Ends tonight. Valid 2/17. Excludes in-store clearance.
What AFC West receiver could be in for a big bounce back? Should Kareem Hunt be out of the first-round conversation? And we took a look at how the quarterbacks finished in 2017. Plus, the 2017 world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge $100,000 champion Mike Dziedzic drops in to talk about how he constructed the six-figure winning lineup, how Quincy Enunwa fits back into 2018 drafts, and much, much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
What more can I say? We top billing it. Valiant without billing it. Viciously found victory. Burnt towns and villages. Burning, looting, and pillaging. Murderers try to hurt us. We curse them and all that killing. I just want the bread and bologna bundles to tuck away. I don't work for free. I am barely giving up away. So tell begging Johnny and Mommy to get the away. Yo, here's a gun, son. Now run. Get it the gut away. Live to shoot another day.
Broadcast live and heard around the world. You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Nobody sees.
Thank you, Rob, and greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, Dave Gerzak, also known as the Dizzle. Coming up on tonight's show, could the Broncos starting receivers represent a nice little buy right now in Dynasty Leagues? What do we make of the Packers backfield for 2018? And we analyze the first FFPC online satellite of the season. Plus, world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge winner Michael Dziedzic will join us in just a minute to talk about the experience of winning that cash, what true decision led to the leaderboard ascension, and a ton more. Big time show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can do so at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak. You can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. Feel free to check out our website at hsffhour.com. If you want to chime in and talk with us tonight, give us a call. 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us or for Mike Dziedzic, now is the time to send them. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, tweets, and emails. Fantasy feedback segment later on in the show, and people always ask me, hey, Balky, how do you keep up on all those emails and tweets and stuff during the show? I don't. It is our producer and mutual friend Rob and our audio engineer Bryce that are helping us out with that almost each and every week here on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. This is, mid-February? We're past the Super Bowl. We're coming up on, I don't know, I guess the next big date is probably the NFL free agency opening, or is the Combine before that? Dave, do you have any light you can shed on that? Do you know when the Combine is, to be honest? I don't even know. I know it's sometime in March. I don't believe it's in February, is it?
No, the free agency is March 15th. I think the Combine's like the 20s, maybe the 20s, like 23rd, 24th.
Okay. All right.
I can look it up, but Google's my good buddy.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is because we are live for 2018.
It's actually before that. It's February 27th. March 5th.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, listen, the NFL is churning along with or without you. FFPC is churning along with or without you right now. Check it out. MyFFPC.com. Best ball satellites are live. You want to play at $35 level? You got it with us. $77 level? You got it with us. $250 level? You got it with us.
All right.
$500 level? Not there yet, but $35, $77, $250. There's plenty of stuff going on there. We're going to talk about one of the drafts that is actually going on, break down the first few rounds of what we've seen already over there. That is coming up later on in the show. Before we get to tonight's guest, I'm going to bring him in a second. Dave, the Dynasty Orphan count. Now, Mint Montana was already in the chat room tonight saying, when are the Dynasty startups going to start?
Your answer was a little inaccurate.
Okay. This is why I have you on the show, so you can clear up inaccuracies. First of all, before we get to that, orphan teams, Dynasty orphans. The count is down to how many now? Is it like 10, 15?
It's one team is available.
One team.
It's actually a pretty good team.
Is available. It is a pretty good team.
Discounted like $300. I can't, honestly, I just think it's annoying to us. I'm not complaining too much, but when people don't, in like 2 weeks when the deadline comes up, all of a sudden we'll have, maybe 10 teams or 20 teams. They're like, oh, I'm not going to renew. It's
right.
like, there is none available,
right.
at this time of year.
Yeah.
So
that sounds more like a personal problem for you.
Well, it's a problem for them is their team gets discounted when it could have sold at full price.
That is true. So sell them early, and then that's when you get the best bang for your buck. If that's what you're looking to do. So one orphan team left. Check it out, myffpc.com/dynasty. You can check out that team, make an offer for it there. Talk about the startups.
Well, we're going to start those up when we're about 95% paid off. So that actually is probably going to be in like 2 to 3 weeks.
So 2 to 3 weeks. Look for maiden startups at myffpc.com for Dynasty, the home of high-stakes Dynasty football.
There's a lot of demand for them. People are ready to rock and roll. Dynasty is getting so much more and more popular all the time, largely in parts of our coverage. I mean, we really hit those rookies hard, Balky. Everybody loves it, and now they're playing.
Yeah, I really, honestly, not even FFPC Dynasty. I don't think people would play Dynasty if it wasn't for our breakdowns of the rookies on this show.
I agree. The whole thing would just be extinct.
Yeah, we set the precedent of Dynasty. Now, the thing is, Dave, Dynasty sort of leads off the season, I would say, for the FFPC. The last event of the season is usually the playoff challenge, which is a nice little segue. Not really nice little. It was kind of broken up a little bit there. But I want to bring in tonight's guest who had a lot to do with the playoff challenge this year. He's played fantasy sports for the last 27 years. Came across the FFPC 7 years ago, has been hooked on the format ever since. However, Dave, 2017 stood out for him in his career as he placed 3 teams, including the overall winner, within the top 6 spots in this past year's world-famous FFPC playoff challenge, earning more than $140,000 in doing so. Now, Dave, $140,000, that's like the entire playoff pool.
Thank you for ruining everyone else's fun.
No, I'm saying that's like the entire prize pool for some other playoff challenges out there.
For the low round one,
And here's our guest tonight who won $140,000 in the 3 of the top 6 spots. He's here to tell us about it tonight. Please welcome into the show the champ, Mr. Mike Dziedzic. Mike, thanks for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, guys. How you doing?
This is bucking a trend, Dave. We're doing good. I'm excited, Mike, because this is bucking a trend of, it seems like the last 3 years, I want to say, whoever won the playoff challenge took their money and politely declined the interview request to be on the show.
Yeah, we had that one girl that was on. She was
Kelly Wilson from it's insane, yeah.
People are all introverts that win, Mike, so now
well, she's the one that won with Kaepernick when he had the big year, right?
That could have been. I honestly don't remember who was
on
the
team,
but I remember it was a few years ago.
Kaepernick went off. She won it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
See, Mike knows what's up.
So, Mike does know what's up. Mike, tell us when you're not winning the world... when you're not winning the world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge, tell the listeners what you do for a living.
I'm a construction worker. Been doing that for, probably the last 30 years or so.
That's awesome. My buddy Leroy used to do that, and his back got all messed up. Is your back hopefully okay?
Oh, I'm in great shape.
My buddy Leroy, he listens to the show, so he's in great shape too.
3-year-old man.
There you go.
That's right, because you're exercising all the time.
$140,000 will buy some nice massages, Dave. So don't you worry about that.
No matter what city you're in.
Mike takes good care of his body for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Mike, 3 teams in the top 6. Tell us, what did you do for the Super Bowl? Because you had them all right up there. And what was it like watching that game with all those teams, lurking right up at the top of the leaderboard?
Well, actually, I just sat home alone. Nobody else around.
Really?
Just me. Yeah. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody. I just sat here.
That's awesome.
Me, the game, the vodka, nice big fire in the fireplace. And I had all the TVs on in the house because I couldn't sit down the whole game, of course, I probably put 10 miles on just walking around the house at night.
So when the clock ticks zero in Minneapolis and the Eagles had come out on top, you knew that your team had come out on top of the playoff challenge. What was the first thing you did?
I took a knee. Took a knee and enjoyed
and then
it.
he drank the rest of the vodka.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Killed that bottle, man. You know?
That's a boy.
That's fantastic. Good stuff. Mike, 3 teams in the top 6. You know, it's hard enough to win it. You got 3 in the top 6 this year. What was the secret in doing so well in the playoff challenge? When you're submitting these teams, what's sort of your thought process on choosing the correct players to put on these rosters?
Well, I had a core set of players I was set on, and I played. I tried not to. You guys still there? Whoa.
Yeah. We're good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You tried not to.
Thought I lost you. I had a core set of players. And I entered 12 teams in the contest. So I had that core set of players, and I kind of, took some players from some teams and changed them around, like Diggs. I took Diggs, and I had Thielen on some teams, but I happened to put Diggs on the right teams,
Yeah,
those 3 teams.
Diggs for sure.
Top 6. So
yeah, that for sure was a smart play by you. I'm curious, Mike, when you are looking at, you talk about this core of players that you knew you were going to go with on the majority of your teams. Some people like to work out what the playoff bracket will look like first and then figure out the players later. Is that something that you kind of, handicap? Like, okay, I see this game going this way, and then figure out the players? Did you do it in that order?
Well, yeah, I look at, who I think is going to win on Wild Card Weekend and go from there, And I was set on everybody except the Atlanta and Tennessee game. I thought that game could go either way, or not, my bad, the Kansas City and Tennessee game. I thought that game could go either way. So, I didn't take anybody from Tennessee because I thought Kansas City was going to win. And I thought I was done the first week, actually. When Kansas City lost to Tennessee, I thought I was done. All the teams were,
well, it's actually,
what's that?
I was just going to say, so was the reason that, Valky, and you maybe can help me with this too, but I'll ask you first, Mike, is it because Tennessee's players, that they cumulatively, over those 2 games, just weren't all that good? They weren't as good as the Kansas City guys in the prior week, or?
Well, Henry went off in that game against Kansas City, and Mariota had a good game. So, I had no players left from Kansas City advancing to the second week, divisional round, and Henry and Mariota are both going on. I thought I was done, and like
that's
I said,
actually it's really interesting.
Yeah, all my teams were sitting low. I don't think I had a team over 2,000 overall. After
it's funny, Mike. Not to go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say this. It's weird because a lot of times I'll look at the playoff contest and I'll be like, some people probably get disgruntled because, like you just said, after 1 or 2 games, sometimes you'll think like that. Oh man, it's over for me already. But that just wasn't the case, right?
Right. The following week, everybody went off, on the team that won it. And the only player that didn't go off was Ertz that week, but everybody else went off in the divisional round, So.
I want to shift focus to 2018 here, Mike, because you certainly knew your stuff in the playoffs. That much is clear. When you look at because we have drafts going on right now, and there's going to be some people that'll want to jump in drafts right away. Even if you're waiting, and this is my kind of thoughts on Kareem Hunt, even if you're waiting to draft July, August, September, there's a chance that this could be like an Ezekiel Elliott type situation where, the NFL is going to conduct an investigation into, how, what happened and him shoving this woman. And so I think Kareem Hunt is going to be a guy that we talk about over the next several months as a guy we really don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he plays all 16 games. Maybe he gets some sort of suspension. Maybe it's a short one. Maybe it's a long one. With the news out about, him being accused of assaulting this woman, is it going to be easy to pass over him in the first round of draft, given that there are so many other talented running backs that are going to be going in the first round this year, and not to mention the receivers like Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins that will be in there. Is it just simply easy to skip over Kareem Hunt and look elsewhere in the first round this year?
For me it is, because I went through the Elliott stuff last season. So, the league has showed that they're cracking down on this. Even if you don't get formally charged, they're cracking down, and so I'm assuming some sort of suspension is coming. So I'm gonna pass on him in the first round. If he falls to the second, late in the second, maybe I'll grab him. But there's too many other choices in the first round. So, it seemed to me like there was a resurgence of the running back position this year in fantasy. So there's a lot of other choices to go with, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Dave, your thoughts on Hunt? Would you be skipping over him as well?
Well, it depends on when you draft him. If you're looking at drafting now, I probably would. I would be actually interested in drafting him if he was falling, because just reading the news reports, it seemed like it was one of those he said, she said moments. Part of the rumors are that they kicked this young lady out of the room because she was 19 underage once he found out, and then they were hurling racial epithets at him.
But wasn't the Elliott thing kind of a he said, she said thing?
They were dating. I mean, this is like people partying.
Just like,
and
okay,
out,
yeah, random
I don't know this
interaction.
chick, and then she had friends with him. There was another young lady too. Then they, you know what I mean? They're getting an argument.
Okay.
He's like, just get out.
All right.
So who knows? But I hear what Mike's saying, but I think
Yeah.
I'd be looking for the value. I mean, when he's going to be drafting probably for football guys teams or whatever, it'll probably be much later in the year overall.
Two other receivers that could be in the first round discussion.
Yeah, so Mike, let's talk about those guys. Michael Thomas or Odell Beckham. I mean, a lot of these guys, a lot of pundits are saying that's back, like you just said, it's back to the running backs in the first round. So you're finding value with these other receivers, Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham. Who would you rather have, and would you consider either one in the first?
Well, I'm a Giants fan, so I love Odell. But, coming off that injury, you just don't know. Look what happened with Victor Cruz a few years back. He was never the same. So, I don't know.
And even worse is Eli Manning is healthy.
I want to see Odell on the field. What's that now?
Eli Manning is still healthy, so you'll be throwing him the football.
Well, yeah, Eli's still healthy.
Unless they draft somebody early.
Yeah, they might.
But what I'm hearing from you, Mike, is like, the safety of Michael Thomas and not coming off an injury like Beckham. It just makes more sense to draft Thomas over Beckham at this point.
Right. I want to see Odell on the field. Make sure he's okay before I'm going to take him over Thomas. So, but the consensus pick is going to be Odell. Everybody's going to take Odell first. So, me personally,
yeah, I mean, it's just like
I want to see Odell
the name
go first and go from there.
The name brand of Beckham too, I think is when you're on the clock and it's your turn to pick, it's going to be hard to draft Thomas over Beckham when you're fighting that urge. Sometimes it's one of those things. But I think Thomas is the smart play. Dave, go ahead.
Well, actually, I voted in a stupid Twitter poll.
Interesting.
Today.
All right.
And it was for a super flex. Who would you take the 101 pick? And the choices were it was Gurley, Beckham, just take a quarterback, stupid because it's a super flex.
Right. Bell?
And
was Bell up there?
Who else was up there? Well, Elliott and Bell, I think, were those other choices.
All right.
And Beckham actually won.
Really?
And I took Gurley myself, and I was actually surprised that Beckham won coming off the injuries, like we were talking about.
Do receivers get 4 points per catch in that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're talking with Mike Dziedzic, the FFPC world famous playoff challenge champion, $100,000 winner. Actually won about $140,000 plus because he also put 2 other teams in the top 6. Let's talk about. I know you're a Giants fan, but if we could talk about the Jets for a minute. Quincy Enunwa should be coming off a season-ending injury this coming season in 2018, and in his stead, in his place last year, we saw Robbie Anderson have a breakout season. Of course, he was also in the police blotter again this past week. So
that's more concerning to me.
Between those guys, even if they draft a rookie receiver, I can't imagine he's going to be given the crop of rookies that are coming in. I can't imagine he's going to be lighting any or breaking any records or anything like that. But you have Enunwa or Anderson ostensibly as the Jets' #1 receiver. Which guy would you be putting your money on as the guy you would be drafting first in that offense, Mike?
Well, again, I'd like to see Quincy on the field, but I am going to take him over Anderson. I think the only reason Anderson had a big year last year was because Quincy wasn't there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's one of first of all, I never really, even when Robbie Anderson was ostensibly the #1 target or the #1 receiver on that team, I don't think people, fantasy owners included, really viewed him as a #1 receiver. And he put up good numbers. I mean, he rewarded you for those weeks that you started him, but I mean, chances are you probably had some better receivers in there anyway. But Enunwa was a real sneaky guy that people were drafting when we were coming up against it in draft season until he had that injury and then obviously dropped off the face of the earth as far as 2017 drafts go. And some lucky guys pawned him in their dynasty league for a second-round pick who may or may not be co-hosts on this show.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Balky screwed me in a trade, gave me a Numa for the 212 in a dynasty league, and now I'm still bringing the wrath of this terrible trade.
I want to say did I use the 212 on Marshawn Lynch because he was still out there in our rookie free agent. So essentially, you gave me Lynch for Enunwa is how it worked.
I think what happened actually,
or how did that work? I think that's how it worked.
There was another trade involving Juju Smith-Schuster, the 312, the 204, and the 212.
Oh, okay. So maybe you somehow got that pick back in the Juju Smith-Schuster trade.
Who the hell knows, man?
Yeah.
I think I traded it for you. Then I got Schuster, and then you were mad because I took Schuster.
Yeah.
And then because you had Martavis Bryant. So I traded Schuster to you, and then eventually you traded Schuster back to me for Allen Robinson.
For Allen Robinson, yeah.
So that's where we sit right now. Let's talk about Robbie Anderson for a second.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So he was charged with 3 felonies last month after fleeing police at 105 miles an hour and threatening to sexually assault.
That's how fast he was running.
And threatening to sexually assault the arresting officer's wife. This guy is a jackass. I mean, seriously, this guy, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Forget it.
Yeah, right? No thanks.
5 speeding tickets with 2 in a 15-day span last spring.
That's insane. So just imagine how many times he was speeding and he didn't get caught, too. That's what I was...
He reminds me of this buddy of mine, Matt Butch. I mean, you guys
you don't need to bring personal stuff in. Hey, let's get to some emails. You just mentioned Allen Robinson. This email for you, Mike, is about Allen Robinson. This is from Tim in Fort Myers, Florida. He writes, "Hi, Mike. What kind of season do you think Allen Robinson is in for, assuming he stays with the Jags? Congrats on the 100K. That is Tim in Fort Myers, Florida. Robinson is interesting, Dave. Now, I don't know if we talked about this. He is a free agent. However, the Jags haven't said that they're going to come out and tag him, but there's been a lot of, where there's smoke, there's fire.
They sure ain't tagging Bortles.
That they're gonna tag Robinson. So I think it's at this point, I think it's a fairly safe bet that Allen Robinson will be in a Jaguars uniform this season. So, Mike, this is another receiver coming off an injury. We want to see him on the field. All the reports say his recovery's coming along good. But what kind of season are we looking at for him this year?
Well, if he can stay healthy, we've all seen what he can do in the past. So if he can stay on the field, he's going to put up the numbers, that's for sure.
I would tend to agree. If they let Marquise Lee go, they still have G.D. Westbrook. But he's not a #1 receiver. Allen Robinson is.
Yeah.
So I know we made that trade. I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm actually, Allen Robinson, I think, is a fine acquisition for you.
I keep seeing all these mock drafts, like these draft pundit mock drafts. Of course, the guys who know everything.
Of course.
Have the
I
Jaguars
see them on Twitter all the time.
have the Jaguars drafting a receiver in the first round, and
it doesn't make any much sense.
Whatever. I don't get it, but that's fine. I'm with you.
Drafting a quarterback.
Listen, I would not have made that deal with you if I didn't believe that Robinson. Remember, he's only 24 years old. I believe that his best football is in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
He may have had his best season ever already.
Maybe not.
There's a chance he did.
He's still super young.
He's still super young, but I just believe that he is going to be putting up top 12 receiver numbers. He's got at least 3 or 4 top 12 receiver numbers within him yet before his career starts to decline. And even then, he'll still be like a top 20 guy.
I mean, what do you think? People decline at 28 all the time?
Yeah, I would say that as far as receivers go, it's pretty rare that you are going to have better seasons after you turn 28.
I mean, you can still play at the top line.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's still a top 20 guy.
Had a top 7 season at age 33 last year.
Interesting you say Larry Fitzgerald, Dave, because our next email, Roger in Los Angeles, this is for you, Mike. Roger in Los Angeles writes, "Hey, champ, in what could be his final year and having a new quarterback throwing to him, are you sold on Fitz as a top 20 receiver this season? Thank you for the email, Roger in LA. We found out that Fitz is coming back. He got extended for a year. I think it was like a year, $11 million or something.
Didn't he already have it? Oh,
yeah. And so Fitz will be in a Cardinals uniform this year. Is he a top 20 receiver for you, Mike?
Well, he's the ageless wonder, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go.
I mean, he just keeps going every year, and even though Carson's retired now, I think that he's still going to put up the numbers.
I totally agree. 100%.
It's real tough for me to say, this is the year Fitz falls off the earth. I really think that he is a top 20 guy again this season.
This shouldn't even be a discussion. The question should be, is he a top 10 guy? Even though Larry's winning draft.
Oh, he's not a top 10 guy. Come on.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? Points per game basis last year.
Yeah.
Last year, points per game basis, wide receiver 4.
Really? Wide receiver 4.
And wide receiver 3 was the aforementioned Odell Beckham. If you take his measly small sample size of 4 games out of the equation, it was Antonio Brown, Hopkins. No, they were on another level.
Right.
Of course. But Fitz was then third with Keenan Allen right behind him at 16.673 points a game.
Did Fitz play all his games last year?
I think he didn't play week 17, but all their games have mattered.
Okay. I wonder what he was on a non-point per game basis.
I think he was 5 actually. Let me just pop it up quick.
That's interesting. How would he have slipped to 5 on a? Oh, because he didn't play week 17. I guess.
1 through 16, he was actually 3. And if you go and add in,
dude, that's insane.
If you go and add in week 17,
that is insane.
Yeah, in week 17, and he was 5.
Would you give up the 112 in Dynasty for him right now?
Would I?
Oh, David.
If I had a team that was looking at
if I need
a fourth receiver, you need a qualifier. You don't just make trades in a vacuum.
No, but that's what helps the listeners out the best. Is trades in a vacuum.
Look, if you need something to get to the promised land, yes.
All right, fair enough.
Otherwise, the answer is no.
Okay. Listen.
What would Mike do? What would Zeke's team do?
Mike, I don't even know. Do you play any Dynasty? What would you give up for Fitzgerald in a Dynasty league right now?
Oh, I don't play Dynasty.
Well, you need to start, Mike.
Yeah, maybe
we have one orphan team left.
Maybe I will.
If you could get Fitz on these bargain basement prices. Hey, Mike, looking ahead to 2018, who's a guy that you'll actually you envision yourself staying away from in the first couple of rounds? And then also a guy that you think might be flying under the radar, maybe in the mid rounds, maybe earlier than that, maybe in the late rounds, but a guy that you think is a good sleeper for you this season. Your bust and your sleeper this year, sir.
Well, I'm staying away from Dez. I think Dez is done. So first couple rounds, I'm not touching him. Sleepers, I don't really think there are any sleepers in your leagues because there's too many good players. I think, if anything, it's going to be a rookie that people are going to overlook, kind of like last year with like Evan Engram from the Giants. He was consistently going down in the teens in the drafts. And so, I think it's going to be a rookie. People are going to overlook him.
Could be. Yeah, the Kamara was going in a lot of double-digit rounds as well, too, and look how he turned out. So.
Right. So, too many good players.
I kind of agree.
There's no sleepers.
There's
We got to be out there somewhere.
Well, listen, once the rookie class hits, and then maybe we'll see some guys out there.
All right, Mike.
Right, it all depends on what teams these guys go to also, So, where they're going to play, who's ahead of them, and depth chart, and so.
All right, so you have 140. Okay.
140 plus.
$143,000.
Is that what it was? 143.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we were wondering if you could just, when you get that check, if you just hold it for like a week.
Oh, why did you even joke about stuff like that?
Well, I'm going to sit on it for a while anyway.
Now there you go.
we got some money we're transferring. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead and cash it up. I think we're at Citibank or somewhere, even in Manhattan or New York. You're in that area, so take it right to the bank, get the cash, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you planning to do with the money? All 140 plus thousand.
Well, right now I got so many work commitments. I'm just, like I said, I'm going to sit on it for a while, catch up on the work I got. And but what I am hoping to do is I've never been to Vegas, and I've never been.
Oh my goodness!
And so
come on out.
I'm hoping to make it there in September. Check out your festivities and participate in a couple live drafts. So.
That's awesome.
And this is not, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a plant. We did not coach Mike before this. This is just his own volition.
Mike, if you come out to Vegas, you can be my guest. You mean by guest in the Diamond Lounge? We have some drinks.
There you go.
They'll have whatever vodka you want. They'll just juice it up for you. All right, buddy.
Diamond drinks with the Dizzle, with
and
the Deezer and the Dave. So that's. Yeah.
They got Tito's. I was there a few weeks ago. They got Tito's, no problem.
Fantastic. Everybody likes Tito's now. All of a sudden.
It's pretty tasty.
Yeah, I do like it. Yeah.
It's won some awards that they proclaim when they're advertising.
Yeah. Listen. Speaking of award-winning subjects that we're talking about tonight, Mike Dziedzic on the show, ladies and gentlemen, the world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge champion, $140,000 plus winner. Hopefully, we'll all get to meet him in person out in Las Vegas. Mike, thanks for joining the show tonight. Congrats on the big victory, and good luck in all your leagues this year, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Mike Dziedzic, ladies and gentlemen, that was good stuff.
Mike was great
tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, $143,000. I don't know if I could sit on it. I feel like I'd be like.
I don't think he's gonna leave it on cash. I'm hoping he puts it at least into.
Savings
account.
Okay, that's fine, but I would have to do something. When we won all that money in 2008, I used my cut, which was a healthy,
something
five-figure purse. The first thing I bought was the entire series of Dr. Katz Professional Therapist on DVD, which was a show I loved watching when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And it was like $100. And after I'd spent that, I'm like, now what else do I do with it? Like I really didn't have any good ideas, after that. And I think I ended up paying off some bills. And
these are good first world problems.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't that upset that I couldn't think. And believe me, I found ways to spend it after that. So
honestly, I'm sure he's doing really well at what he does, and he's saved up some money.
Yeah.
And but I mean, come up to Vegas, that'll be a fun time. And I'm serious. Come to the Diamond Lounge, you can hang out.
Yeah, that would be.
Thanks to our buddy Greg Sidoris. I'm not even good enough to be a Diamond player.
He just hooks you up on that.
Nice.
Perks of being the Dizzle. Perks of listening to the show tonight, you get to hear the Fantasy Flash. I want to thank Football Guys, Roto World, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Steelers GM Kevin Colbert, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, the guy who won't pay Le'Veon Bell, told impending free agent Le'Veon Bell that the organization has a, quote, strong desire to keep him in Pittsburgh for the rest of his NFL career. This is according to Aditi Kinkhabwala.
Nice.
Is that what it is? Kinkhabwala?
That sounded great, bro.
On Twitter, Colbert. I can't even.
That's Colbert.
you want to talk about like names with like an African origin? I have no problem with. Yeah, I can do that, but I can't do if you have some sort of like French or European name, I'll never be able to figure it out.
Well, Mike, our guest tonight, by the way.
Mike Dziedzic.
Yeah. His name is spelled D-Z-I-E-D-Z-I-C.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think I was calling him Dziedzic on the show last week when I was.
He plays a lot of football guys teams. I was looking at his account. He's the Zeke's team guy.
Yeah. Yes. I've commissioned several of his drafts. Anyway, back to this. Their goal is a long-term deal, although the franchise tag is an option. The two sides did not seem close on a deal last year, and ultimately it was a tag. But Colbert said the Steelers GM says the situation is different this time, and they're opening negotiations with a clean slate. However clean you can make a slate at this point.
The situation is different because it's a year later.
March 6th is the deadline for the tag, but they can still negotiate, I think, up until July or sometime in July on a long-term deal. My question to you is this, Dave. Now, we typically don't like talking about contract situations on this show because, about holdouts and all this other nonsense.
It's always fun to speculate.
Yeah, but I don't like speculating too much on stuff that we don't have any control over. And
we don't have control over any of this,
Well, no, but we have control over
who we draft, I guess.
Yeah, and it's all about using partial information. I feel like
that's why you speculate on
here's what I don't like doing on this show. I don't like doing
good content.
Perfect, obviously. What I don't like doing is like NFL draft is a perfect example of this. What if this guy goes here? This guy could go here. I cannot stand it. Oh, so annoying. And I feel like this contract stuff.
There's like 3 outcomes or whatever.
Okay. My question is, for those FFPC players that are drafting right now, would this potential contract messiness prevent you from taking Le'Veon Bell number 1 overall if you do believe he is the best player?
I mean, if you were going to take him number 1 overall.
If, let's say, you signed to a long-term deal and you were going to take him number 1 overall, does this change that at all for you?
I mean, a little bit. But I would say the odds of him not. What's going to possibly happen? He could either sign a long-term deal, he could be a franchise, or he could just.
Well, he did threaten retirement too.
That's bull. He didn't save enough money. He hasn't had a big enough contract. He could hold out, I guess, 10 games, right? Yeah. Or he could demand a trade or whatever. I mean, and he has a little bit of a nut job. So let's keep that clear.
Yeah.
And he's probably high right now. It's fine. So I would say
technically it's not. I don't want him to be high right now and get drug tested.
It's fine in general. Probably not good for drug tests. It's probably an 85% chance, 90% chance it gets done. I think it's pretty high.
Okay.
But it's still not 100.
Right.
It's not 100%. So if Gurley is right there next to him, and you have him like 5 points ahead on the same tier,
then the pick is Gurley.
I would take Gurley. Yeah. But if you really have him like way up higher, then which I don't think you should.
I don't think you should either.
That's fine. I would take him there.
I will say when we talk about this FFPC draft coming up in a few minutes, Le'Veon Bell did not go number 1 overall there, and he did not go number 2. And I'll tell you where he went.
I mean, I can see him fall in the top, 6 even, a little bit.
Let's move on and talk about not people with hard to pronounce names. Guy like called Michael Crabtree. I can pronounce him.
I meant Gruden, of course.
Yeah, John Gruden. So we have some audio of Gruden here coming up that I have to play.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah. Gruden told the San Jose Mercury News that one of his goals this year is to get the best out of Michael Crabtree. Here's the audio clip we have. I got to bump into Crabtree. Hopefully we can get the best out of Crabtree and his career. That was John Gruden, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
Thanks. He's apparently not known as the most honest coach when it came to personnel when he was coaching in Tampa Bay. But it sounds like he wants Michael Crabtree on this football team next year. Las Vegas Review-Journal reported in December that Reggie McKenzie, who is the Raiders GM, actually planned to release Crabtree. So maybe this is a sign that Gruden is the guy who's really wearing the pants in that front office. And Crabtree, Dave, you can bring this back to the Amari Cooper thing too. Derek Carr was on Sirius. I think he was on Sirius XM, talking about how Cooper would never admit to it. But he was playing hurt all year, stuff that guys, if they had the same injury, they wouldn't be playing through it, and Cooper gutted it out. So you talk about Cooper, Crabtree, and Carr. With Gruden, this could be a real nice buy, not only in Dynasty, but guys that you can get a good deal on in redraft right now.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting, okay, I'm just going to make my little change here. Crabtree, he wetted the bed, let's say.
Yeah.
Week 16.
I think it's just he wet the bed.
Well, that's true.
Wetted, wouldn't it be like if he was actually pouring liquid on it, then he would be wetting it?
Well, if he was trying to lift the bed, he wetted his appetite.
All right, let's just move on.
All right, so Crabtree was actually WR, was on a points per game basis, weeks 1 through 16. What was he? He's like a late WR2, right? Oh, he's wide receiver 23.
23, okay.
And week 16, he had a 0. So, I mean, like 3 weeks, he had 2 zeros and a 1.7. So he had some really bad games. But otherwise, he averaged like 12.5, 13 points a game, including those, actually. So, you know, Carr was a mess. I think Crabtree didn't have his best season. Cooper was all over the place. I don't like Crabtree.
I like him. I own him in a dynasty league. I'm not looking at trading him right now. I think that I can squeeze a good year out of him in 2018, and I won't be afraid to draft him or Cooper this year, quite frankly. I think those guys are going to bounce back very nicely, and I think that the people who take Cooper in the second or, God forbid, the third round, they are going to be loving life. Could be this year's Gurley. He could be this year's Gurley.
I will let you draft him.
Okay. We got to make some wages on that.
Fine with me.
Okay.
If you want to, fool me once. What was George Bush's great quote? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, don't get fooled again.
Yeah. I think that was it. Listen.
Cooper keeps on blowing it.
Mari Cooper had his worst year last year and also set a career high in touchdowns with 7. So, I mean, it wasn't all terrible.
Yes, it was.
No, 7 touchdowns is the best he's ever did.
That's still not good. 7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns is not terrible. It is not terrible.
For an elite receiver, you're drafting the second and third round.
What?
You only know who does that.
Hold
only
on.
Julio Jones does that.
Okay,
because he has 110 catches
and he's
for 1,500 yards all the time.
Okay, and would you
in 12 games?
Okay, and would you say so you would say 7 touchdowns for him is terrible?
No, I would say for Julio it's fine because he has all the catches, he has all the yards, and he's playing with
just like Cooper will this year.
What was Cooper? What did he have, like 50 for 800? I mean,
it was like 48.
I just talked
it. It was like 48 for 580 or something like that. Yeah, it was terrible.
People are getting the
Hey,
second and third
listen,
round.
hold on. You were just talking about how Carr and him, Carr too, by the way. This is a two-way street. The guy throwing to him was super dinged up too. So it wasn't just Cooper that's hurt. You have the corpse of a quarterback throwing to the corpse of a receiver out there. It's not. This is the NFL, man. This is not JV. Okay, this is hard competition. These guys clearly weren't at 100% the entire season.
You know what? I get what you're saying.
I don't think you do. I feel like I'm talking to myself.
No, you're talking to me, Balky.
Yeah.
But
make your point.
Okay, 1 second. You know how many points Amari Cooper averaged per game last year? If you remove his one good game, he had a 44-point game. This guy scored 137.9 points on the season. He averaged 7.22 PPR points, for the love of God,
Dave,
in the 13 other games he played.
Listen, we've already established.
Awesome. And you're going to draft this guy. You're going to draft him with a top 36 pick. Holy crap.
We've already established that he was super hurt all season long.
Oh, super hurt now.
Yes.
Super. Let me get
Derek Carr said, I'm going to get the Derek Carr quote now. You talk here for a second.
So Derek Carr said that Amari Cooper was super hurt?
I'm going to get the quote. Don't worry, I'm going to read it.
Some sort of equivalency that was unbeknownst. So are you telling me that the Raiders were withholding injury information?
Derek Carr on Amari Cooper's down season, he was, quote, out there playing on 1 foot. Now you tell me what receiver is going to be any kind of successful on 1 foot, and he caught 7 touchdowns and almost 600 yards on it.
You know, that's interesting because the Raiders should be getting fine draft picks. Because
they should be.
Amari Cooper was listed as out against the Giants in Week 13 and out against the Cowboys in Week 15, and not once did he otherwise appear on the injury report the entire season. Not one time did he appear in the injury report. This guy was playing on one leg, which, you know what, I'll actually grant you that he probably was dinged up, but that's actually total
one
BS.
leg is more than dinged up. That's
totally BS that the Raiders are withholding all this injury information. Regardless, it's not acceptable. I'm not going to draft a guy who scored 93 points in 13 games minus 1 huge game.
For a period of time in the NFL, this man was the highest paid player of any professional football player in the history of the league. Here's what he had to say. He'll never tell you, and he'll never even talk about it, but that man was out there playing on one foot. He's out there trying to battle for his teammates. A lot can be said about the way it didn't work out and stats and all those things, but the thing I want to talk about is this. I'll roll with that guy any day of the week because he's out there trying to give it his all, even though he could barely get out there and do it. And so that's the kind of guy I want to play with. That's how I know we're going to be just fine. He would never say it to you. No one would ever say it to you, but I'll say it to you. I have his back. That man was out there playing as hard as he could and giving everything he could. Honestly, a lot of guys probably wouldn't have even played with what he had going on. I commend him for what he was doing.
That's not Mr. Eyeliner?
Yes, that's Mr. Eyeliner who said that.
So, he thought Cooper, he loves him so much he had one target for him week 12. One target for him week 14 when he scored a zero. When you had a zero.
Listen, we're beating this to death. You can't, if the guy is covered and the guy covering him has two healthy legs and he's got one healthy leg, the guy's probably not open that much. I mean, it's math. Two legs beats one leg every time in this league. Let's talk. Look, clearly we've established who my boy for 2018 is going to be.
I feel like this is a liberal and a conservative argument that we're just going to agree to disagree.
All right.
So let's just move. Amari Cooper is our gun control debate. We're going to move on now.
Let's talk about my guy in 2016, 2015, and 2014. Eddie Lacy.
Eddie Lacy. That's funny.
Who I was clearly right about on him last year at least.
Is Cooper the nextDdie Lacy?
He might be. I don't know.
That's funny.
He's not expected to re-sign with the Seahawks. He was a big disappointment this year. Emphasis on big.
Word is he's rumored to be a spokesman for various fast food chains like Culver's.
P90X. Could be it. You'd be the first guy who's a spokesperson for P90X and Panda Express. Chris Carson looked very good. He'll be coming back off that broken ankle. They are still going to have Thomas Rawls screwing around there. CJ Prosise. Seattle's been rumored to be taking him back in the top 2 rounds.
Seattle just has a bunch of garbage around.
Yeah. So and I'll tell you what, and we're going to get into this when we talk about the quarterbacks. You know what? I'm going to make a command decision. We are not talking about the quarterbacks this week. We're going to push that back a week. Wow. I have a lot of reservations about the Seattle offense in general this year after the Brian Schottenheimer hire, the fact that the offensive line is still not great. There is nobody in the backfield. Jimmy Graham is going to be gone. You're going to have Doug Baldwin and then Paul Richardson and Tyler Lockett.
Jimmy Graham's going to be gone for sure. They said he's going to go.
Well, he's a free agent right now.
They're not going to
they have not publicly said that. Well, Pete Carroll, you can't take anything with that guy.
Yeah, I guess.
Who knows?
Right.
But anyway, I'm not digging on the Seattle offense right now.
Well, when they have a Schottenheimer leading, that's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders could both stay on the roster in an effort to have a...
Can we reverse back just real quick?
Sure.
Keep in mind also the division. This is, okay, I was just in Las Vegas with Farrell Elliott and Drew Maselli, two of my good buddies. They're awesome.
Drew Maselli of Jam Ricky Vaughn fame.
By far the cooler of the two of the party.
Clearly. Yeah, the father-son duo.
Josh is kind of a loser, and Drew's the cool one.
So you were hanging out with Drew and then KFFSC Commissioner Farrell Elliott.
Yeah,
boy, I got a lot of info on him today.
Oh, yeah, Farrell's
I was
great.
telling my wife about it. My wife does not care about anything I say anymore. She was actually engaged in this conversation with me.
Yeah, you know what? As often as someone, I go to the restroom fairly often for some reason. My kidneys work fine, but whatever. I go to the bathroom all the time. I drink a lot of fluid.
Yeah.
Farrell likes to, every time Farrell offers to play craps about as often as I take a leak. Hey, look, seems like we got a crap session going on over here. It's like, Farrell, it's 9 a.m. We just had breakfast. And it's like
But there probably was several crap sessions.
Oh, he's getting ready. I mean, we took a cab we waited for an Uber, went to a cab to Encore, which is where he likes to play craps. We had a lot of fun. It was actually a really good time. Regardless, back to my point. Seattle was like 25 to 1 to win the Super Bowl or something like that, which I thought was actually pretty high. But then I saw the 49ers.
Yeah.
They were, I think it was 11 or 12 to 1
to
win the Super Bowl, not even the conference.
That's insane.
They were in the NFC. They were the second highest or lowest, whatever the odds. They were the number 2 team.
Behind what, Philly?
Behind Philly.
Oh my!
To win the conference. And so then, not only that, you still have the Rams to deal with Goff and Gurley and friends.
And the Vikings and the Saints.
No, I'm talking about the same division.
Oh yeah.
Divisionally,
okay,
so you have the Seahawks now have to deal with those. And then you have the Cardinals, which are like the clowns of the division now. But I mean, Seattle for a long time just dominated the Niners.
Yeah.
And then now they're like dogs. They're probably the third best team from the Las Vegas odds makers and bettors perspective in their own division. That's a big deal.
Earl Thomas, I believe, is a free agent. Cam Chancellor may not play football again, and Richard Sherman's coming off a blown Achilles. there's a lot of issues on that defense, which patched up a lot of issues for them in the past, from the offensive point of view. And maybe we're seeing the decline of those great Seattle teams from 3-4 years ago.
Well, I mean, the thing that's great for them, the best thing for them is that they have a superstar quarterback in the prime of his career, and Russell Wilson covers up a ton of war.
Yeah, he does.
He's fantastic.
He is. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders could both stay on the roster in an effort to lure a big-name quarterback to Denver, according to the rap sheet. Ian Rappaport from NFL Network. Sanders had been rumored to be traded or released this offseason. Broncos do not have a lot in the passing game besides those guys. And if they want to sign a guy like Kirk Cousins, having those two might be a good idea to have on the roster to get a big-name quarterback like that. You look at what those guys were able to pull off this past year. And I don't, we haven't wrapped up receivers yet and see how they finished. But I believe they were both top 25 guys. I mean, with terrible quarterback play. And you look at what Cousins could do, Dave. I joked about how he was going to be the number 1 overall quarterback this year. He was number 4. So he didn't have a bad season. You bring him to Denver with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders.
All right, don't get too excited. Sanders had a bad season.
Yes, because of Simeon.
Simeon?
Isn't that his name, Simeon?
Simeon. Whatever.
Simeon. I didn't get.
Hey, Coach, Simeon.
Yeah.
Demaryius Thomas. Let me see how I'm doing this rankings here. Should we shoot on points?
Sure.
I don't
know what else we would do.
Thomas was. Just overall points in the season. Thomas was 19. He only scored 190 points. I mean, this is again an off season for wideouts.
For wideouts, yeah.
Sanders, let me see how deep I can scroll here. He was wide receiver 54.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I was
114 points.
That's terrible. So Sanders is really bad. So would you give up a third-round pick for Emmanuel Sanders in Dynasty right now?
I probably, what part of the third?
304.
I might, honestly, I might not.
I totally would.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening, if you own Emmanuel Sanders and you want my third-round pick this year, it is yours. I will gladly give that up for Sanders. Demaryius Thomas, he's getting up there in age, Dave. So I would not be giving up a first-round pick for him right now, but a second-round pick, I'd look at.
Yeah, for sure, I'd pay a second. I still think Thomas is a really good player.
Yeah, and I think that his type of game, I think he will age gracefully here in the next few years. And
he's got a good work ethic. He's just a quality person.
Yeah, quality person, whatever.
Well, I'm just saying, he doesn't have any of these. He doesn't have any issues. Like, he seems like a guy.
He's not threatening to sexually assault the wives of wrestling
he's not a crazy person like Robbie Anderson.
Ty Montgomery could move back to wide receiver, according to Packers beat writer Rob Demovsky. Ty Montgomery, his body, it no likey the running back position last season. I think he had, it's funny,
his body broke down.
In 2016, he had 77 carries as a running back. And in the offseason, somebody had said, can your body handle more than 77 carries? Oh, yeah, no problem. My body can take it. He had 71 carries this year before he got IR'd. So clearly it couldn't. Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones look really good. They look like a good 1-2 punch. The fact that they were able to generate anything back there behind whatever Brett Hundley was doing for that offense makes them look very, very good. Wouldn't it make sense to bring Ty Montgomery back to receiver and not have him clogging up that backfield? I think for fantasy, that's what we're rooting for.
Well, yeah, I think that interesting. Makes sense. Jordy's getting old. Randall Cobb's not that good.
What if you cut Randall Cobb? What if you cut Randall Cobb?
There's rumors about talking about cutting Jordy because of his huge salary.
I don't see that happening, but it's certainly possible. What about cutting Randall Cobb and making Ty Montgomery your new slot receiver?
That could work if that's what they want to do. He's got the.
That's a lot of savings.
5'11", 220. He's got that size.
Yeah.
He's actually a lot. I think he's probably better than Cobb. I mean, Cobb was always like 6'1", 180. He was always catching touchdowns, but it might have really just been Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, could have been.
Have you heard any? By the way, since you're Mr. In the Know,
I am definitely not that.
About injured wide receivers playing hurt all year. Did you have any excuses for Jordy Nelson scoring 137 points one whole season?
Yes, Brett Hundley.
So, I mean,
what did he do before Rodgers got hurt? Didn't he have like 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns?
Let's just get this straight.
All right.
Now, I get it. Brett Hundley's not great. He's pretty sucky, whatever. But Jordy didn't break 10 points after week 7.
Yeah, and
dude, seriously.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you that Brett Hundley had a lot to do with that. He didn't even look his way.
Why not?
I don't know. For whatever reason, he had more of a connection with Devontae Adams, and that's what it was.
All right, so let's go back to the first week.
Yeah.
20.9 points. He somehow scored a 0 week 2. 23, 23.5, 10.4, 12, and then apparently Huntley was.
Yeah.
So it was reasonably good
with
Rodgers. But didn't Rodgers, that's fine. I don't.
I'm just saying, like, listen, Jordy Nelson is not as bad as he performed when Brett Hundley was the quarterback there. And
you know what? Obviously, I'll agree with that.
And with the connection that Rodgers and Nelson have established, and listen, you talk to anybody in Green Bay, they do believe that Jordy Nelson is not done. I don't know anybody who's saying that there from the stuff I've read from the beat reporters and so on and so forth.
And why are they not? So are they arguing? Let me just get this straight.
Okay.
Are they arguing that Jordy Nelson, when Hundley was quarterback, was open all the time and should have been thrown?
No, nothing like that.
Well, then hang on for a second.
Yeah.
If he wasn't open all the time, I mean, isn't his job as a wide receiver is to make good routes and be open?
Well, listen.
I mean, is that Hundley's fault if he's not open?
I'm not saying that. Okay, first of all, I haven't heard anybody say like, oh yeah, of course they didn't throw to Nelson. He was covered every time. He couldn't get open. I didn't hear that either. I haven't read that either. I think that it was just a connection thing with Hundley being a younger quarterback tending to lock on to one guy. That guy happened to be Adams, who honestly is coming up and is entering his prime. For Jordy Nelson's clearly, out of his prime and is declining. But I don't believe he is done. Now, what about this?
Keep in mind, Robbie Anderson, the sexual assaulting cop guy,
Yeah.
outscored him by 60-some points last year.
Yeah, I understand.
Moving on.
Yeah, okay.
Robbie, who is the quarterback for the Jets?
Listen, how old is Robbie Anderson?
Piece of crap.
He's not. He doesn't have the age and the tread. I'm not. When did this turn into me saying like, oh, Jordy Nelson is like a top 5 wide receiver? I don't believe that. I don't believe he's a top 15. He might not even be a top 20 guy, but he's definitely not done. Okay.
Right. Well, he's wide receiver 43 last year.
Anyway. What was your honestly? Look it up. Are you on? What are you on? Are you on Carrington? Right now? Go look at receivers weeks 1 to 6.
All right, I will.
And just tell me where he was at as far as receivers go when Rodgers was his quarterback.
That's
I understand.
a very nice feature of the NFL.
Yeah, it's great.
Good job, Michael.
Super small sample size. I get it. You're talking about a month and a half, but that's what we had to go on. I want to know where Nelson stood among receivers the first 6 weeks of the season.
He's wide receiver 6.
Okay, so the reports of his fantasy death have obviously been greatly exaggerated. Okay.
Okay. Well,
there's still something there. Now here's the other. Hold on. Now before you get, I will talk because I've been trying to get this point out for like 10 minutes.
Go for it.
What about Jordy Nelson moving to the slot? Because his game represents something that can be very successful there. Again, this would probably include dumping Cobb, and I don't know if they bring Jeff Janis back, and here you have a hole on the other side, outside with, opposite Devontae Adams.
If McCarthy was smart enough to do that, I actually love that.
You put
I love it.
Geronimo Allison or somebody out there, or you draft somebody in like the second round.
You put Montgomery outside. Why don't you do that?
I don't know. Would he work?
Maybe not. Probably not because Jordy's so. But yeah, Jordy's smart enough to run all the routes and do all the Fitzy type stuff that Fitz does when he got older. And
Fitzy type stuff.
Fitzy stuff, and I agree with you there. I'll grant you that. I really find it hard. You made a very good point. That was a good rebuttal. Weeks 1 to 6. I just find it very hard to reconcile that Hundley was so good. I mean, I know he was not good, but he was throwing for yards. I mean, there were yards being thrown for. Yep. I just find it so hard. I guess if he was only a one-read quarterback and he only looked to Adams, there is something to be said there. But I mean, if Jordy still, if he was getting open, you would think the announcers and the coaches would be like, oh, Jordy Nelson wide open again. Jordy Nelson wide open again. Yeah.
Well, you know what? And by the way, I do remember times where he was wide open and Hundley didn't see him. It's
sure
not like it never. It's fresh in my mind. I'll say this: Brett Hundley
sucks.
Often would look to Devontae Adams and then run. We saw him run a lot this year. We saw games where he. Lamar Jackson did and had more rushing yards than passing yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were times in games where they would try to get Jordy Nelson involved early, and he'd have like a catch or two on the first drive, and then just wouldn't be heard from after that. I don't know if they stopped calling his number or calling plays for him, but they did get him involved, and it didn't work out. you have to go with what was working to move the ball. And what was working to move the ball was throwing it to Devontae Adams. So that's enough of...
You know what? I'll give you the last word on that. Good job.
I'll say this. I wonder what I'm going to do when I take Amari Cooper in the 3rd round and Jordy Nelson in the 4th round of every single draft this year.
You don't need to take Jordy in the 4th.
I don't know.
Like the 7th.
Well, let's get into this because we could break down this FFPC satellite draft. We'll go a little bit over tonight because I know people want to know about this. You have the draft board in front of you. This is from a FFPC 35 that started, I believe it was the first one of the season. At the time of print for this, they were through the mid-7th. We don't have to break it down, but I want to spend at least going through each pick of the first round here, Dave. As I alluded to earlier, Le'Veon Bell not the first pick. Todd Gurley, the 101, no surprise there. You a little surprised Ezekiel Elliott goes at the 102?
Maybe a little bit.
I was, I guess, I don't really consider, for me, it's like the top 2 are Gurley and Bell, and then it's a drop. And you can make a case for Antonio Brown there, I guess. And then there's a drop off.
I mean, if you like some, take him. I mean, who cares? It's not, he's obviously not coming back, right?
That's true. Antonio Brown at the 103, Bell at the 104. David Johnson goes at the 105. Too high for David Johnson for your taste?
No.
You love him.
Gotta
love him to take him at the 105.
He's a 400-plus point back. The prior season when he hurt his pinky toe or whatever his wrist. Not even his toe. His pinky finger.
Pinky toe actually might be a more serious
injury. His pinky finger more likely. His wrist. And, so they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. It could be Cousins. It could be some garbagey rookie, whatever.
New offense in there.
Did David Johnson all of a sudden become bad at playing football? Yeah. I mean, even if the new offensive coordinator is a total moron, he's got to know who his best playmaker is.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, actually, that's a good argument. Fuck you, really? You're bringing
the wide receiver 3 from last year.
You're bringing the good.
I mean, who are we going to run the offense to? The wide receiver 3 last year, or some schlub who didn't even finish in the top 60 running backs last season?
Just end the show. I feel like I've lost all the arguments.
Yeah. All right. So no, I get it. I'm kind of with you on David Johnson. I remember there was talk of him coming back to playing at the end of last season, and I think because the Cardinals are out of it, they never seriously entertained it. But
somebody wisely said forget it.
Certainly could. DeAndre Hopkins, I think, was a nice value at the 106. I like him there. And then we get into the last season's wunderkinds here. Alvin Kamara at the 107 and Kareem Hunt at the 108. I would not be taking Hunt at the 108, as we talked with Mike Dziedzic before. Not a huge fan of that pick, given what we know now. I know you said you wouldn't have a problem with it. The Kamara pick, specifically at the 107, can you get behind that? His efficiency rating out of this world this past season.
I know. That's
insane.
It's frightening, to be honest with you. I think I would probably pass on him. I missed on him last year, admittedly. I didn't draft him really anywhere, and to all those that did, fantastic job.
Yeah. I must feel like you're paying for last season's performance.
Well, you totally are paying for that, and he's not a 3-down back. You're not, like with a Leonard Fournette or even Barkley, who's been undrafted. You don't even know where he's going to go.
Right.
You're pretty darn sure because he's going to be a top 5, top 10, probably top 5 pick. But he's going to be a 3-down back right out of the gate. And Kamara, to be splitting time with Ingram still.
After Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham goes at the 109, Julio Jones at the 110. Interesting that those guys weren't those guys pretty much like top 4 picks this past season, and now they slipped down?
Yes, that's not far of a slip, really.
Why did Julio Jones slip? Was it just because he didn't get hurt, did he? I mean, he was dinged up, but I don't think he missed time. Beckham obviously coming off the injury, I get it.
Did Julio miss a game?
I don't know. I thought he played in all of them.
What the hell's going on?
I don't really remember him missing.
Un momento, por favor.
It's no problem. It's not like it's
he didn't.
Not great radio.
He did not miss. Yeah, sorry, he did not miss any games, but he did finish his wide.
Just passes.
He missed wide receiver. He was wide receiver 8.
Yeah.
Just not that great.
Yeah, he wasn't that great.
I think he was.
So maybe he was overdrafted here at the 110.
Well, he was on the injury report, I think.
As the 4th receiver off the board.
I guess he wasn't even injured. Wow. But there were some rumors of him being dinged up a little bit. He had 148 targets last year.
At a certain point, I think if you're dinged up all the time, it's just.
He had a ton of touchdowns. Did you see how many touchdowns?
Yeah, he did. But
seriously, do you know how many he had?
No.
3.
Yeah, well, that is a ton.
What a piece of crap.
Well, listen, in your world, if 7 touchdowns is terrible, I don't know what 3 touchdowns rates at. But it's
otherworldly pathetic.
It's certainly whatever adjectives you want to use to describe it, they're not family friendly.
I mean, how can you be 6'4", 230 and not catch touchdowns?
I don't know, man. So right after him, the 111, Saquon Barkley. Do you believe that he will be a first-round pick in the majority of these satellites going up until the NFL draft?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So that's another guy that we can throw into the first-round running back fray.
I think his ADP on the calculator or whatever was like a 12.2 already. So it's not even. This isn't even that much of a reach, really.
Dave, okay, I'm going to get into it. Leonard Fournette is the final pick of the first round.
I don't mind that pick either.
Let me list off the running backs here that I think could go in the first round. It's insane to me. Okay, Gurley, Elliott, Bell, Johnson, Kamara, Hunt, Barkley, Fournette, Gordon, Dalvin Cook, Shady McCoy or Devontae Freeman. Those guys went in the first round last year.
I mean, technically, but I doubt they will.
What did Christian McCaffrey finish? Running back 8 this past season?
I actually thought the guy who got McCaffrey, the 211, got a nice value.
That is a nice value in this draft. Now that's 13. Mark Ingram was a top 5 running back this year.
Well, he's not going in the first, but yeah.
It's insane. I cannot get over the running back, how crazy the first round depth is this year. As we move through the second round, we see Mike Evans going off the board at the 204. I'm sure you hate that guy too, because he sucked last year. You sucked last year. I'm not drafting you this year. Quote Dave Gerzak.
I'm not. I don't know. I'd have to look at it a little bit more, but I mean, Seamus is still not. I don't think Seamus is a progress. I don't look at Jameis Winston. What's Jameis Winston doing right now? Do you think he's throwing balls right now? He's probably out there back at his place in Alabama or Florida.
They just had a gender reveal, him and his girlfriend, for their kid.
And he's a man?
Gonna be a boy.
Oh, good.
Gonna be a boy. He's gonna have a boy.
Yeah, I always
little Seamus.
Seems like I hate Seamus.
Yeah. No, it does seem that way. Big time. You rip on him a lot.
A lot of crustaceans at the crotch.
Who would you rather have, Mike Evans or Keenan Allen, who went at the 207 in this draft? Then Kelsey comes off the board. Gronk goes in the second. Wouldn't you rather be taking Kelsey over Gronk?
You know what, the Gronk retirement rumor?
Yeah, I couldn't take him in the second round.
I know that I don't think he's gonna retire, but Gronk's a little bit on the crazy side.
Yeah, little flaky-ish.
Yeah, I mean he's the type of guy. I mean, supposedly The Rock and Sylvester Stallone over there telling Gronk he could be like an action
star. Yeah.
And you know what? Those guys make $20 million a movie. That's more than he makes in the NFL.
And they don't have to take these shots from safeties going across the middle.
And the thing that's funny is those guys, as much as we joke, they might actually be accurate. He might actually be coming at. He might. Oh, he could. Yeah. He could probably do that.
Expendables 4. Can't wait.
I mean, he'd probably get $8 million for that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, I wouldn't take him over Kelsey. Kelsey does not have that opportunity.
Tyreek Hill, your boy, goes at the 212. Is this a more appropriate spot for him to be drafted?
No.
Hashtag Pat Mahomes.
Well, it's a mistake. Hill's obviously a great value.
So he should be going higher.
Much higher.
All right. We're going to be going into negative.
You know what? I'll bet this. I'll bet $5 on Tyreek Hill beating Mike Evans, who went 8 picks earlier, right now.
What do you mean? Like
you take Mike Evans, I'll take Tyreek Hill. For PPR points in 2018.
I don't know if I believe. I don't listen.
You were just talking up your boy Mike Evans.
First of all, I wasn't talking him up. I was saying how you probably hated him. That's all I said.
Oh, okay.
So
you know what?
because I might take Hill over Evans.
That's what's interesting is you would not take Evans over Hill at least instantly. It was not an instant.
No,
take.
It's definitely not instant. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make it seem like it should be, like instant. Snap decision. Obviously, I'm taking Evans over Hill.
Well, I mean, in Dynasty startups, Evans is probably still a long way ahead of him.
Yeah, maybe we need to talk trade. I'm sure you want to pick up Mike Evans in Dynasty.
Part with the player I love.
Zach Ertz at the 301. I like that pick. That makes a lot of sense. I like the Devontae Adams pick at the 304. Jarvis Landry at the 305 could be great, but we don't know where he's going to play.
It's tough to draft a homeless guy in the 304.
Yeah. Derrick Henry at the 306, we believe. 306.
305 for
for Landry, yeah.
Sorry.
Derrick Henry at the 306, the newly anointed, or about to be anointed. This is pre-anointment territory for Derrick Henry at the 306. I like that value there. Your thoughts on that?
I don't mind it, actually. I don't mind it. Henry, though, when he had opportunities, he was kind of a little bit hit or miss. But I think that's worth the risk with that team.
Yeah. Poor man's T.Y. Hilton gets drafted at the 307 in Brandon Cooks, and the rich man Brandon Cooks gets drafted at the 308 in T.Y. Hilton there. So back-to-back picks. I'm not huge into either of those guys. It made sense for what those teams had already put on their team to grab a receiver then.
One of those teams has a starting NFL quarterback, and one of those teams has Andrew Luck.
Yeah, good point. You know what's funny is I didn't tweet this out because I didn't want to be like Mr.
Captain Andrew Luck.
No, I didn't want to tweet up be Mr. Negativity. But Andrew Luck, there's an article that I saw on Twitter about Andrew Luck liking Frank Reich, the new coach of the Colts, his new aggressive offensive scheme.
Well, you know why he likes that is because he's going to be the QB coach.
Well,
when he retires.
And I was like, why does Luck care? It's not like he'll ever be playing for Reich. And I didn't tweet that out, and I'm glad I did. But
I think is this Reich's third coaching job? Is this the rise of the Third Reich?
Hilarious.
Thank you. It is an hour and 20 minutes into the show.
I didn't. I was going to tweet out like a bunch of Mr. Smith goes to Washington things, when Alex Smith got traded. I was like, I'm not going to do that. Everybody's going to do that. I didn't see anybody do it.
They're not. That's because that was actually kind of witty. It was a little bit, it was thoughtful.
Yeah, but normally, I'm not the most witty or thoughtful guy out there.
Good job. That was good.
No, it wasn't because I didn't tweet it out because I thought everybody would have.
Well, it's too risque for your Twitter.
It wasn't risque. Jordan Howard and Carlos Hyde go back-to-back then, and then Amari Cooper, the 312, 36th player off the board. Something you would not do. Amari Cooper, Demaryius Thomas, you'd obviously take Demaryius Thomas there, right? Who went one pick later.
Probably, yeah, I would. I probably would do that. By the way, the Carlos Hyde pick is interesting. I would normally crap on it.
We don't know where he's going to play.
And Carlos Hyde was actually the running back 10 last year, but you don't know where he's going to play.
Yeah, that's the issue with it. He could go.
I can't stand Carlos Hyde either.
I know. A lot of these guys I've taken in Dynasty, you seem to not like. I'm surprised we don't have more arguments.
I like I like a lot of the guys you have.
Josh Gordon at the 402. Adam Thielen moves all the way up to the 403, and I see. I've gone back and forth on how I feel about the Bengals. I think I'm anti-Bengals right now, but Joe Mixon at the 404, I can get behind that.
I can get behind it too, but it's really interesting to me. You hear all these pundits talking about how even now, they still talk about how Mixon is this elite superstar talent. He averaged 3.8 yards a carry last year.
Bengals' offensive line was terrible, but
what? He didn't do crap. He sucked.
Yeah.
Whatever. Is it all of a sudden going to be great?
No, it's not. And that's why I'm saying I'm anti-Bengals right now. I
just don't get how they think. Yeah, he's such this uber superstar. And by the way, I've always been a big Josh Gordon supporter, but I don't know how you draft Josh Gordon ahead of Fitzgerald or Stephon Diggs, who had insane efficiency ratings this year.
Okay,
Okay.
Well, the Fitz thing, when this happened, I don't think Fitz had said he was coming back.
Okay, fine.
I get that, but yeah, Thielen, that makes sense. That I would have rather had Thielen than Gordon.
You just don't know about. We still don't know about Josh Gordon.
One team planting their flag in the Miami backfield. Kenyon Drake goes off the board here at the 405. That's interesting, yeah. Then we see other receivers going this round. Darius Yice, a.k.a. Darius Geis, goes at the 410 behind that pick.
I don't mind that one, actually, because that's a good, random rookie 102 pick.
Yeah.
And he's going to start somewhere pretty quickly.
Yeah, maybe. He could. I don't know.
Maybe not, though. I guess.
We'll see. If he's the end of if he doesn't go to the NFL draft till the end of the second round, I'm going to be souring on him.
Do you think he's going to go that late?
I think it's certainly possible.
I thought he was pretty much the.
He could go. It wouldn't shock me at all if he went in the late first round, but it's entirely possible that he slips too.
You're right. It's a good point.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
This is DE, by the way, right?
Yeah, it's DE. You mean best ball? It's actually not a DE.
You know what? Sorry, Alex, I'm still learning.
411, Juju Smith-Schuster as the number one receiver for this player's team.
That's
I know you love him.
I love him for Dynasty. I think it's.
Who would you rather have, Juju Smith-Schuster or Mike Evans?
Evans, I'd take Evans.
Come on, you don't really believe that in your heart of hearts. Dave, you hate Mike Evans.
In redraft?
No, in Dynasty.
God, I guess I would still take Evans.
Yeah,
I would deal him for Schuster.
I believe if you were presented at that offer, you would turn it down.
If someone offered me Evans for Schuster,
first of all,
by the way, you have Evans and Carrington. I have Schuster.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I could do that. No, because I would not. I would rather have Evans than this. Wow. I don't believe that you would actually would rather have Evans over Smith-Schuster.
I would actually, to be truthful, I probably wouldn't rather have him. But I know that Evans is more highly valued, so I would probably have to do that trade. But it's like buying a stock of a company you hate.
Two-packer would say, don't follow the sheeple, Dave. Don't follow the sheeple.
Well, I can be a sheeple and then trade it away to a sucker.
A fellow sheeple?
Yeah, more of a sheeple that's worse.
A sheeperson? Evan Engram at the 412. This team doubles up on tight ends, Ertz and Engram. I think, for me, Evan Engram is my number 4 tight end this year, right now.
Ingram's a little tough for me to evaluate because he had a fantastic rookie season, which is incredibly tough to do. But that was due in part to losing Beckham and Marshall, and there were so many targets.
Yeah.
There was no one else that was good other than he and Shepard were good, and that's it. So you have to kind of balance those two things. And at this point, I'm not sure where to stand on, but I think he's only going to get better as a player.
Yeah, I like him. I like him quite a bit. Deshaun Watson goes off in the 5th round. Jordan Reed in the 5th round seems like too early for my taste.
The corpse of Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
Can we say that all season?
Yeah, we've been saying it for several seasons. And then at the 506, Allen Robinson. I think you and I would agree that's pretty good value there.
508, but still good.
508, yeah, even better. Thank you. Deion Lewis, we don't know where he's playing.
And then the worst pick of the draft, the 511.
I thought you were going to say the 512.
Actually, they both are bad.
Yeah, Jordy Nelson and Des Bryant complete the 5th round there. So Nelson and Bryant go off the board, followed by, let's see. Go ahead.
It's like two Mr. Yuck stickers at 5'11 and 5'12.
Funny. Sammy Watkins going in the 6th round. Duke Johnson going in the 6th round. Chris Thompson at the 606. What do you make of that?
I think that was a mistake.
Really? You don't like that pick?
No.
As number 3 running back?
Well, I just, whatever. I think there's like this.
I don't think Washington's going to do many changes in that backfield. And remember, they had one of the. If you talk about what unit in the NFL was hit hardest by injuries last year, it might have been that Washington offensive line, or maybe the Green Bay offensive.
And that's fine, but we don't even know. What is it going to be? P. Ryan? Do we even know what's up?
I think they want P. Ryan to be the guy. Rob Kelly definitely showed his age or showed his true talent.
Terrible.
He wasn't great, but Chris Thompson, I think, has carved out a role. If you look at, and I don't know what week he got hurt, but if you look at where he was for running backs at the point he got hurt, he was doing very, very well. Like a top 20 running back for sure when he got hurt.
Yeah, let me pop it up. It was week 11.
All right, you pop that up. I'm just going to talk about the rest of this round here.
He was RB9 through week 11.
Yeah, I mean, very, very good. Devin Funchess goes off in this round. Sony Michel actually goes off in this round, too, another rookie running back. And I think a very good steal here. At the 6'11", Corey Davis. I love that pick there. Davis, I think, is going to have a massive season this year, Dave.
I guess we'll see. He just did so little as a rookie. I'm not that sold on him quite yet.
Not a fan of the 6'12" pick in DeMarco Murray. I like the 701, though, Marvin Jones. I think that's solid. Carson Wentz, O.J. Howard, Tom Brady, and then a bit of a head-scratcher here at the 706, Rashad Penny. So this guy goes back-to-back Sony Michel and Rashad Penny.
And then that's it.
And then that's
as far as
they're probably somewhere in the 7th or 8th round right now.
I really wish I could do these. These are so much
I do
fun.
too. I was
so annoying.
I was supposed to be the aforementioned Farrell Elliott talked me into doing the KFFC Big Valentine's Day week draft this year, and I said okay, I'll do it. But then they do it on RT Sports, and I guess RT Sports said, hey, Kentucky guys, quit scheduling drafts. We need to update our stuff for 2018.
Well,
so
of course, those guys with their garbage software.
And that's, come on. And so that's going to be rescheduled for like early March. But once I do that, we'll talk about that on the show, and you can.
Just kidding, RT Sports.
Yeah,
software is fine.
Let's flash forward in the future. Let's talk about that Kentucky draft. Bulky, I'm looking at your draft here. Mike Evans, Jordy Nelson, Des Bryant, Amari Cooper. This is like pretty much the worst team that's ever been drafted in Kentucky. I can't wait for that. Yeah. And I guarantee I end up with at least one of those guys, probably 2 of them.
Well, you might.
Yeah.
I can't wait myself.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting when that happens. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of
weeks. Thanks for listening to the show, everybody. I mean, I know there was men's figure skating on, and you didn't watch that. So.
You could have been anywhere tonight. You hung out with us. I want to thank Michael Dziedzic, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course you. Dave, quickly, are you off next week? Okay, Dave will be here next week, and so will FPC runner-up $30,000 winner, making his return back to the show, Dwayne McFarland, next Friday. Dynasty Orphans, myFFPC.com/Dynasty. Best balls available right now. Your weekend starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myFFPC.com that was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Big dog stay on the porch, blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. Where you get that from?
We'll get to that in a second. I just want to pass this off. I'm sure Rob and Bryce already saw this. Aces Rebels in the chat. Just want to let you know the audio through tonight's show was perfecto. Kudos to your engineer and to BTR for getting their act to this level of enjoyment. Also enjoying all the quantitative material that the two of you presented during the various dialogues you covered this evening. Did we have many I feel like most of our stuff is qualitative, not quantitative.
A lot of argumentative.
Well, there's definitely a lot of argumentative stuff tonight. This is
actually interesting because I talked to Drew about the studio and Bryce and Rob and their various roles in the company. So that's actually cool that he brought that up.
That Aces Rebels did?
Yeah, and I talked to Drew. I told him the whole story, how great these guys do.
We got quite the talent farm here on the...
It's an interesting show. The set, too, I told him about the set and everything.
Yeah,
nice here in the studio.
HSFFOR.com. Check it out.
See you, Drew.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Oh, what a great audience. Let's dim the lights for this next one. Oh, too much. There it is. Gotta get things just right. Like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay, and we help you find coverage options that fit your budget. And now, the mood is right. Wait, the lights are back on again. Trudy, can you? And now it's completely dark.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi. My husband and kids just gave me an executive order. Stylish new outfits now. Where do I go?
Get to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, get up to 50% off store-wide during Old Navy's big President's Day sale.
Up to 50% off store-wide. I won't veto that.
Old Navy's fashion-forward jeans start at just $15 for adults, $10 for kids. And colorful fleece starts at just $15 for adults, $12 for kids at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. But hurry, the sale ends soon.
Well, just call me Shopper in Chief. We're going to Old Navy now.
High fashion, Old Navy. Valid 2/12 through 2/20. Select styles only.